Welcome back, Badgers. Thanks, everyone, for such a brilliant response to the first episode. We were slightly taken aback, actually, but we really appreciate everyone who sent a message and sent the podcast on to someone else. So if you missed that episode, which was an interview with my co-host, James Bledge, don't forget to check that one out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But this week, Bledge and I are joined by a friend of both of ours, a guy who has been on a few podcasts, so there's a good chance that you've heard of Rob McGuirk. Bledge, how's your week been? And then tell me how you know Rob.
Okay, busy week. I just want to back up what Sam said there about the response from the first podcast. It's pretty cool to see as many people engaging with it, so thanks for that. So busy week here with us. We've been working hard, still pushing the course forward, building a lot of bunkers, trying to get them all done before Christmas time, building roads and dunes and loads of meetings and stuff. So all very good. And I found out today that my apprentice, Luke, got a distinction in his level 2.
Congratulations, Luke.
Big news actually for us. He was running up in Taurus Student Greenkeeper of the Year as well. Wow. So a good lad. So he's been buzzing about that today. So great for the club.
Good for him
as well. And so the good couple, a few of us sort of booked on Harrogate as well we're actually doing a talk together, aren't we?
We are, yeah. If you're going to be at BTME, you'll see Bledge, the main event, but also I'm saying a few things about the history of Hoylake. So that'll be my first time speaking there, which will be fun.
It's at the conference as well, so it's a decent crowd, along with Chris Trimble, my first assistant, and Alistair Beggs, who's the RNA agronomist. So we're going to talk about all things Hoylake, and it's entitled What Hoylake Has to Offer. Okay. So we've yet to start writing it, so that's one of the things I have to start doing soon. But moving on to Rob McGuirk. When I worked at Royal Cinque Ports, obviously Prince's was next door, and became very, very good friends with Rob through probably our admiration of golf equipment has been one, and especially nostalgic golf equipment, which I'm quite looking forward to talking to him about.
Yeah.
Our love for pin L8 bags that we used to remember from our childhood. But Rob's he's one of life's really interesting people. He's incredibly cheeky, which is brilliant. And I was thinking earlier, the things, like 4 things that come into my head when I think of Rob McGuirk, and the first one being family. He's a big family man. He's got the most amazing family.
Yeah.
The golf club down there is just such a family vibe, and you've never felt as welcome. So family's the first kind of thing I thought about with Rob, and then gin.
He's got some collections, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean his Instagram page is classic. Loads of pictures of gin and pugs, gin and pugs.
Yeah.
He loves his dogs. It's quite often working at Royal Cinque Ports, and I'd see him running along the seawall, and he'd be followed like half a mile behind him would be his black lab Dexter, who would just run right across the place. And I just love that.
Well, that reminds me of when I first met Rob. So I haven't known him half as long as you have, Bledge, but it was during 2020 as lockdown was easing up, and I went down to Kent to do some drone work, and Rob put me up in the lodge that they have down there. Very generous host, but what you wouldn't expect. He said, "Sam, what are you doing for food?" And I said, "Well, some of the restaurants are still closed." He said, "Well, no, forget that. We're having a barbecue tonight at ours in the bay, so come round and sample some of the gin."
Get the gin out.
And that's what we did. And I'll always remember how well he and Ali and the whole family looked after me. So incredibly generous host. Every time we've gone back, he's always looked after us remarkably well. So we're very glad that he is able to join us as our first guest on Golf Badgers. Well, Rob, thanks very much for joining us and being our first guest. I really do appreciate you taking the time.
And my pleasure.
It's quite a big deal being first guest and with this, Rob. We thought long and hard about who would have as first guest, so
could be the only guest.
Yeah, it's first and
depending
last.
How it goes.
Yeah.
Let's hope not. No, thanks for the invite, guys.
So, Rob, how's Prince's looking at the moment?
Well, we've just gone through the winter maintenance, which has gone very well. We have carried out a hell of a lot of work to the greens and the fairways. We've top dressed them for the first time for a long time. We've had the VGR out on the greens, injecting sand and viridoed over the top, and it's been very tidy. So very pleased with it, and we've had decent weather, which has really helped it repair. So I think middle of next week we'll be back to normal again. Considering we finished the work last Friday, it's much better than expected. The recovery,
because you've got a course manager now that's another level from any course manager you've ever had.
Oh, I'd never say that about him. We do miss him, but things move on, and he thoroughly deserves the opportunity he's got at Birkdale. But let's hope they've got a very strong finance department to keep him under control.
Keep him in the life he's accustomed to.
He learnt well from you, Bledgie.
I know, we're all good at spending money. Can't call us tight Scotsmen, Rob.
The course needs it, apparently. That's all I ever hear.
Yeah. Well, actually, we were saying in the intro about how I'd heard the story that he's leaving. That you produced all the invoices, or
because his total spend up since he was in charge, and it was extraordinary, really.
Good lad. I don't think what's going to hit them.
Soften the blow of him leaving.
Mm-hmm. He is he was really good spender, was old Sean, but it was well worth it, and as I say, he'll be missed. He's like part of the family. My father was gutted to see him go, but very pleased for him to move on to a course such as Birkdale. So I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job.
Family, that's like one of the big things that we were talking about, is the McGuirk family. And for me, how I almost kind of felt part of the McGuirk family as well at times, because some of the great events that you had, and just to kind of always be around it and see how you like the dynamic between all the brothers and sisters. And I mean, maybe you could kind of shed a little bit of light on how golf has kind of shaped your family.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Prince's was very much set up back in the day to be a family club. The first owner, he very much wanted families to be able to come and enjoy golf, and it wasn't the thing back in the day for you to bring your family along to the golf course, and for especially juniors and ladies to play. So Prince's was pretty much set up for ladies and juniors and families, really. So, and throughout the ages, it has continued that, whether it be through my father or through Mr. Bridgeland, who had it before us, or Malaby Deeby, who set the course up back in the early 1900s. This course was set up for family, so, and we've kept that going. Really, it's a very relaxed place to play. So
there must be about 10 family members plus that play quite regular golf there.
Yeah, I think probably including the grandkids, it'd be way past that now, probably high teens, I would think.
Wow.
So
as much as
all the grandkids are really good into it. And
your mother and Molly gave myself and Harry a right good whipping at the Saracen last year, but I'll never forget that. Handicap review, I think. And speaking of which, handicap review, I mean, you've gone back to being you've gone back from being a pro to an amateur as handicap. Well. Yeah.
I know. So I'm off the naughty step on next Friday. So I've had my 6 months, and I'll be back playing in the midweek medals and such.
Well, that's a good point then, to take it full circle. You're now almost back as an amateur, but what was your golfing life like, Rob? Because obviously you've now done however many years as a professional. So what got you into that in the first place?
Yeah, so I played, my father bought Prince's back in the early 70s, and we were sort of brought down every weekend. So if you didn't play golf, there wasn't much else to do, really. So I sort of got into it at the age of sort of 4, and I thoroughly enjoyed the discipline of practice and trying to improve. And I carried on playing, so I sort of got down to sort of scratch handicap, sort of 14, 15, and played county golf, and managed to sort of get through to the England squads as an amateur. I lost in the semi-finals English amateur, Hunstanton, and I finished top 5 in the Bravers and at Royal St George's. And so I was very consistent, but never really won any of the big events. So I got through to 23, 24. I was reserved for the home internationals. Couldn't see myself going any further, so I thought I'd turn pro. So I turned pro as 25. Played a little bit of MasterCard Tour, which was excellent. Thoroughly enjoyed it for 2 or 3 years. Managed to finish top 5, which then gave me status on the Challenge Tour, which I played for 7 or 8 years. But unfortunately, 2005, I ruptured a patella tendon in my left knee, and I never fully recovered from that. So I played all the way through to 2008, and I competed in the Austrian Open at Fontana, which was a tour event back then. And I played out of my boots and finished, I think, 18 shots behind the winner, Jeev Milkha Singh. And I thought, I need to get a proper job. So I decided to hang the golfing boots up pretty much there from a playing standpoint, and done my PGA. So I went through my PGA training, 3 years, and then took over director of golf at Prince's before I get to 2016 and took over as general manager. So that's sort of a bit of background into how I got to where I've got to. And funny enough, in May this year, I've turned back amateur again. So it's gone full circle.
So what's more stressful, managing Prince's as GM or trying to put food on the table as a professional golfer? Because I think everyone thinks as professional golfers a glamorous lifestyle, but I know a few guys on tour, Challenge Tour, European Tour, and it's not all what it's cut out to be. I think it's very stressful.
Yeah, playing golf for money and making enough money to get by is very, very difficult. So I would say playing golf is far more stressful. It's very rewarding when things go your way, but you spend 95% of your time losing. So unless you're Tiger, obviously, who doesn't, but it's a very difficult career. You've got to be incredibly good, very self-centered, very disciplined, and it's difficult. They're just so good at that level. So I wasn't quite good enough, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great experience. I think I played golf in over 50 countries. I played with some great players and met some brilliant people who are still friends to today. So I would never, ever take it back. I really enjoyed it, but it's time for a new chapter.
So I bet you've never enjoyed golf as much as you enjoy it just now, with some of the places you get to go and play, and the fact that with Prince's ever developing, every time you go out there, there's a little improvement or whatever, and you get to go across to Charter Hills, etc. Yeah,
I mean, I think the difficulty with Prince's is I thoroughly enjoy the process of improvement. It's very difficult, and you know this as well as anyone, Bledge, that playing golf at your home course is virtually impossible because it doesn't matter where you are, practice ground, on the course, in the clubhouse, someone's always going to ask you, why have you done this? Why can't you do that? And it's difficult to relax. So my enjoyment, although I love playing at Prince's, comes from playing all these new courses and exploring and learning really from what other courses do. I mean, Ali and I went to Bandon this year for the first time, which we absolutely loved. We went to Castle Stewart for the first time, which was a brilliant experience. Over to Ireland to play a few of the courses on the West Coast with my pals, and that's how I enjoy golf now. And I think, and obviously, our little nostalgic group has sort of opened my eyes to and brought me back in love with the game again. Really, I thought our time through lockdown was opened my eyes up to what I should be doing, not what I have been doing.
That was. I remember you told me that, and it was great to hear. So we could maybe shed a little light about the nostalgic group for a second. So during lockdown, myself, Rob, Liam Brown, who's Greens chairman at Royal St George's at the time, was my Greens chairman at Deal, and Rob Lee, who's assistant secretary at Royal St George's, had started a little WhatsApp group, and we'd went on eBay and bought all the clubs that we used to have as, I don't know, it was whatever was nostalgic to you. So for me, that would be in my 20s probably. So I was buying blades, and we bought the copper ping answers, and then L8 bags, and then you became a bit obsessed with buying L8 bags, didn't you, Robert?
I do. I have 7 in the office. I haven't even counted up today. And
We're trying to collect the Dulux chart, you know?
I have gone through quite a few of them, but it was just great fun. And considering what everyone was going through with lockdown, it just took your mind off it a little bit. We'd pop down to the club, do a little bit of work, and then spend the rest of the day on eBay trying to gazump each other with
Buying
bags.
geometric George Pringles.
Exactly, yeah. So, but also going back to our youth, hitting persimmon woods, which I hadn't done for, I don't know, 30 years. And it was so much fun. And yeah, sort of fell in love with the game again, really, after your invite to the group. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed
It's
it.
still going strong, which is good. And I took nostalgic clubs down to Blackwell for the member guest that Sam took me down to, and I played absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, there were mitigating circumstances with the volume of alcohol consumed.
Yeah, I know,
but it didn't reduce the enjoyment at all, did it?
It's good to bring them out because you feel there's not as much expectation on you when you're playing with clubs that are impossible to hit. And recently, you've not seen my Founders Club's blades yet, Rob, that I've bought that are so everyone's commenting how
they're
awesome
nice to look at, aren't they?
They're incredible, but they're utterly unhittable, as I found out at Southern S in a rain shower with 2 wrap grips and they end up going flying out your hand into the heather. So,
well, that's a good sec. So as much as golf clubs have changed, Prince's has changed a fair bit over your tenure there, Rob. Certainly over your full life of going there from a kid until now, but over the last 10 years it's changed enormously as well. So how do you feel the club, the course and the club are where you want them, or is there still further to go? And could you talk a bit about what you've actually done to make those changes?
Yeah, I think it's good to start from why we did the changes, and I think we next to us are 2 of the world's best golf courses, Royal St Port's and Royal St George's, and what would happen is that guests would come down and they would miss us out, and I can understand why you would come down to play the two big boys, really. So we felt that at some point, with the hotel now going well, we would need to do something different. So we instructed Martin Ebert. We got in contact with him. We did look at other architects, but with our connection with the RNA, it felt like the best thing to do would be and the safest thing to do would to employ Martin. And he's been great to deal with and work with over the years. So the plan was really to look at every single hole and change angles, give us better views of the the bunkering, green surrounds, which were a real feature when the course was laid out in 1906, have become so small. Mow those out again and really create a number of shots around the green. So that was the plan. And with when you put in new tees in and new green complexes on the Triple SI site, you have to work very closely with the nature guys. So if we wanted to build a tee, we'd have to give them a sand scrape. If we wanted to build a new hole, we'd have to give them a wetland. So we worked hand in hand with them guys. So hence why we've got a mixture of sand areas and some wetlands on the course. And when we saw the initial plans for the Himalayas, it was quite extreme, but we did say to Martin, you can go for your life down here because this 9 is never really used by the RNA or the PGA for tournaments. So he had a blank canvas, and I think he did a great job with it. It's certainly my favourite 9. But the plan was really that because the other 2 courses are so good, we wanted to be slightly different, to offer something different. We could never compete with them. So the whole plan was to change every hole and make it stand out, really.
It's remarkable that you have 3 courses of such renown in such a small area that are as different to one another as those 3 are. Do you find that there is any sort of competition between the 3 clubs, or do they each exist in their own little ecosystem?
I don't think there's any competition. I think we're all very different. I mean, Prince's we're a proprietary club, has hotel guests and has a daily fee golf and has 400 members. Royal St George's is a members golf course that has visitors, and Royal Cinque Ports is a big members club that has a lot of Halfortuit members and daily fee members, and has a mix. So I think they're all very different, really. I don't think there's really any competition between the three as such, but
I would
we're
feel
certainly very
to keep up with the Joneses, as it were, and always. I mean, I always remember when there was ever a tournament that would play all three courses, and you'd always want to have the feedback that you were the best of the three, and it was because it's natural to have that, you know, and it was a good thing that when Princes spent money, we would follow on and try and do upgrades, and then it kind of kept us all. The better our course is means more people come there to play your course, and the better Princes is.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of subconsciously helping each other by doing that, and I think it was a great thing. So by Princes doing all these upgrades was great for all three courses.
Yeah, I think the courses. I mean, certainly you yourself and Sean got on very, very well, and Cinque Ports over the last 10 years has improved incredibly as well, especially when you go from tee to green, then green to tee. I mean, that's one of the biggest improvements, isn't it, from Cinque Ports? You can, as you say, I listened to a podcast earlier, you can putt your way around there.
Yeah.
Certainly wasn't the case 10 years ago. And Prince's is a complete different kettle of fish. It's a big site. We have a lot of visitors there, hence why things like sand scrapes are so important to us, because they find their ball and they carry on rather than looking through the deep rough. So pace of play improves.
Especially with the ridges, like, is it fair to say, especially on the shore and the dunes nines, it's almost like ridges that you play through. And if you hit your ball over a ridge on certain parts of the course, you could either be hitting this into thick grass and never seeing it again, or you walk up the ridge, stick your head over and say, oh, there it is down at the bottom. I can get a 6-iron to that.
Yeah, the old course, Sam, it used to play over the ridges before it was decimated during the war. But Bridgeland, he didn't like any blind shots. He didn't like any central hazards. He didn't like, all bunkers were down the side of the fairways. There's no bunkers in front of the greens. So we were very much played beneath or between the dunelands. Yeah. And that's how he got 27 holes in, really. But the old course was very much like St George's. You play all over the place. It'd be quite cool at some point to try and put as many of those holes back. It's not quite as easy to do nowadays, but it would be nice to
the ninth of the hymns count as that, Rob? The Saracen tee that you put in on the ninth of the hymns, that's a fantastic tee shot, playing right over the dune, and you can bite off as much as you want. You can pretty much. I mean, when we play with Geordie, he would go right for the clubhouse, whereas I would take on the middle bunker and have 150.
Yeah, that's an exact replica of how the hole was back in 1932. So, and we almost play the old 8th hole as well when we do the playoff, when you hit over the tee on 9 hymns from 2 hymns. So, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to take the course backwards. We haven't quite got the room to bring it back to how it was. But I think what Martin's done with a lot of the features and the green surrounds and the bunkering has pretty much brought it back from that point of view to how it was back in the 30s.
Yeah. So when you sit and have your own time, and whether it be on a flight or where you're trying to get to sleep, and you have got this kind of vision in your head of what you want Princes to be like, just say money was no object, for example, and how would you want that course to end up being? What would be your big vision for the place, and or even talk about any things that might actually happen?
Well, I think we had a 5-year plan back in 2016, 2017, just to move the course forward, move it up the rankings. But for me, the most enjoyable aspect of it is when people come in and say how much they've enjoyed their day. Even today, the weather's been a little bit iffy, but people have come in and said, right, we're booking back in for next year. To change the course further would take some serious earth movement. I think we just haven't got the topography to have a Royal Portrush or a Royal St George's or a County Down, if you know what I mean. So we got to work with what we've got. I don't think there's much more we can do to it in a way of changing holes now, but I'd certainly like to see some more sand areas around the course to get rid of the rank areas. We're going to do a little bit of work with Martin this winter on that, do some more tree clearing, that sort of thing, really, and more path work. I can't see us changing much more. I'm very happy with how it's turned out.
Well, you have had a lot of, a hell of a lot of work done in the whole 9 years that I've been there, and I've seen it completely transform. I mean, one of my favourite things was always nipping down from Cinque Ports to Princes on the way home just to see what digger work had been done that day. So I guess you're right. It's super for yourself and the members and visitors to kind of just have a bit of settlement now and work and fine tuning areas and taking it forward that way.
Yeah, I think so. We've obviously, you've seen the plans for the little par 3 course. That will get underway at some point. We just got to work out where we're going to put it. That'd be very exciting. And I can't see us doing much more to it, James, at the moment.
What's your favourite single improvement, whether it be a hole or something you've done? I can think of mine, but
yeah, I just love the Himalayas. I think the way it turned out, especially where we're hitting down to a lot of fairways, you can see the sea off most of the tee shots, and when you get down to sort of 4, 5, 6, it's so quiet down there and peaceful. So I think that area of the course is my favourite.
I mean, the 2 new par 3s that Martin Ebert put in were superb. The Bloody Point and
Smuggler's Landing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think Bloody Point out the far end is one of the best holes in the course, but my favourite hole is still 7 Himalayas. I think it's just
7
a great par 3.
Fantastic, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had the 5th of the Dunes in my eclectic 18.
Yeah, that's a great hole as well. I had the 6th actually. I couldn't get 7 in.
Oh right, yeah.
Too many good 16ths and too many good 7ths.
It's a massively underrated golf course, and it's somewhere I've always really looked forward. I mean, I had the pleasure of practically being a member there. I would just turn up. I was so lucky with having Sean next door and yourself that I was there quite a lot, and it's definitely one of my favourite golf courses, and that's why part of the reason why we wanted to get you on first, really.
2016, you took over as GM. The course obviously has been completely transformed. You got the lodge. When did you start on the lodge there? Was that in the same time frame?
So the lodge we had put in for planning in about year 2000, I believe. It went through in 2008. It took quite a while to go through.
Yeah.
And what happened was that the 2 fishermen had come in off the beach in October. It was a bit cold, and they got into the old clubhouse and they set fire to the lockers. But we'd put a new roof on the clubhouse to make it look respectable. But that roof acted like a kiln, and the whole thing went up in smoke. If either of the 2 chimney breasts had fallen over, we would have lost all planning.
Oh, wow.
So we couldn't have built on it at all. So after that incident, we managed to get planning permission, and we started in 2009, 2010. It was completed in 2012. We'd actually open it in 2011 for the apartments, but the actual lodge itself wasn't open until 2012. And it's been a huge success for us, for a lot of Royal St George's members stay there. We had a lot of packages with Cinque Ports and St George's, so it's a real hub. It's a golfer's hotel.
And one of the best putting greens I've ever played on outside it, which your mother and I, Rob, and Sean and
champions.
Slips, I think, are the champions there. So
didn't you tell me a cool story about that? Didn't you have a wedding and then they decided never going to do this again, so that's why the putting green is as choppy as it is?
That's exactly what happened. So what happened, we had my sister's wedding. Sean had to come down and flatten the entire area, which he hated. And we had the wedding. The marquee almost blew away. It was so windy. And after that, the amount of stress that Sean went through, he said, I'm going to build the slopiest, bumpy putting green, so you can never hold a wedding on this area again. So we went to town. He shaped it all himself. He grew it all in himself. And then about 2 years ago, we had my brother's wedding. We had to put it on the car park, the marquee. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, but Sean
Sean's
shaped
responsible.
it, grew it all in. Yeah, did the whole thing. He loved it.
So from one old links course with a lot of daily play golf, you then decided to go the other way and purchase Chart Hills. So
That's right.
how did that come about?
So Chart Hills was Nick Faldo's first real design. It's in Bindon, which is about 20 minutes from Ashford, probably half an hour off the M20. It's a rolling parkland, huge parkland course. It's actually 220 acres. It's a beautiful site. I was a founder member there back when I was in my early 20s. So we used to pop down there, had great practice facilities. Those courses did back then. Pure greens, great turf on the range, and great service. But as time went on, it sort of lost its way a little bit. We actually tried to buy it about 3 or 4 years before we did actually manage to get our hands on it. So it wasn't our first attempt. And the idea really was that we would find Princess was going very well. We wanted another club to complement it. And Chart Hills had a great name, although it would fall onto hard times. So we bought it. It went through on Christmas Eve in 2019. So we sort of found our feet with it. We were trying to repair all the damage that had been done to the fairways, to the greens, through lack of investment. And but it's coming on very, very well. And Tarquetti's over there steering the ship, and we're working with Alistair Beggs as our agronomist. So yeah, it's coming on well. But it was purely to complement Prince's. At the moment, we're taking our time, just ensuring that it doesn't get too stressed out, and we can get the grasses back as we would like it, because it's a great bit of land.
And are there any plans for that going forward? Because we know that you upgraded the sand cap, the fairways, drainage system, etc. What's the next steps for that?
Well, we're about 3 weeks from finishing a little par 3 course there, which they replicate Faldo's 6 favourite approach shots to holes he's played. So we have EC in there at the moment, shaping away. Hopefully that'll be finished next sort of 3 weeks through Faldo Design. And there's a new putting green up by the first tee. So yeah, still major investment going in. I believe that the plan is this winter is to work on the tees and get those all back up to scratch again. So it's very much a piecemeal strategy, but we're just taking our time with it really. But the par 3 course will be exciting.
It's a fantastic piece of land. I've always enjoyed going up there. I did when I was young. I think maybe in my late teens played there and had the biggest hay fever attack ever. It's always what I remember it from.
There's some hay round there. Yes, it's definitely some rough, but it's a really good layout. I mean, huge. The fairways are very wide. Really nice green complexes. Did a great job with them. As I say, those courses they need quite a lot of care and attention, shall we say. They need to be looked after because you can soon lose them, especially with the amount of clay, and they just get worn down pretty quick. But no, it's really coming back. A great big clubhouse, and it's pretty much member only at the moment with a little bit of daily fee play. But as I say, we'll take our time getting it back to where it should be.
So Bledge just said that you sandcapped all the fairways. So I think there's a lot of people, one of the great feedback that we've got so far from our first podcast is there are people who are interested in agronomy and architecture and course maintenance and stuff, but they don't really know too much about it. So can you say what exactly you did there to provide better services in the long term, and what that process involved in doing so?
Yeah, so when we bought the course, we went pretty much straight into lockdown, which again was horrendous for pretty much everyone. But for us, it meant that we could have a real good go at the golf course. So the fairways had actually turned this what looked like coconut matting. Do you remember the old mats you used to play off at driving ranges when you were little? And you could basically pull it away with your hands. It had rotted away. So We dug down about a foot, reappointed all the drainage and irrigation. We then put a layer of gravel over the top of that, and then we sand capped a certain amount of inches before overseeding. So what it allowed was that any rain that came along would immediately dissipate and go into the drainage, and then that would then feed into the reservoir, which then we could reuse for water. So in the end, what it did, it got rid of a lot of the thatch that had accumulated over the years, but it gave us pure fairways. And it's a creeping rye we use on them, so it repairs very quickly. You could take a divot on a Monday, and the next Monday it's almost grown over again. Mm-hmm. So it gave us great surfaces. So really, it was the fact was when you've got a clay golf course, it doesn't drain very well. So the sand capping allows the water to drain through much more quickly, and the course will become a lot healthier because of it.
You'll have a winter golf course essentially.
In hindsight, we wish we'd gone and done surrounds, greens, tees, but you never know how successful it was going to be, and it was significant investment to sand cap such a huge area without knowing how it was going to turn out. So, but hindsight's one wonderful thing.
Plenty of stuff to do there then. But I know that you kind of know your stuff with greenkeeping because you've been harassed by myself and Sean over the years. But during lockdown, you actually did turn to greenkeeping yourself, didn't you? You did a little bit of helping out in the course.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Cutting the greens and out there at 4:30 in the morning. No, thoroughly enjoyed it. And I nipped a few edges, got fined, which is fine. And I had one oil leak on Smugglers, which I managed to get off the green quick enough and only caused a little bit of damage. But it was great fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, it's a super industry, and it's great that you can turn your hand to that as well, and you see what it's like from our side. So
yeah, it's not to be taken for granted. I saw them out there yesterday in all sorts of weather, and it was it wasn't much fun, but the guys love it. And as you say, it's if you can get into it, it's a great industry to get involved with. Fresh air, hard work, but very rewarding.
So what's next, Rob? If you've now got Princes and Chartels, do you think you will try and find another in the portfolio, or are you happy with where it is?
I think if anything ever comes up, you'd always look at it. Funny enough, I was at the Addington last week, which was great to go and see that. Yeah, my father tried to buy it at the same time as his father tried to buy it. So I'm not sure where we were in the bidding process, but I think Ron outbid us anyway. But yeah, I think if something else come up that was of interest, we would certainly look at it. I'd love to get my hands on Heathland as well, so we'd have all three covered off. But they're not so easy to come by, are they?
I'm glad you were saying before we started how, Rob, you travel a lot, extensively in golf, and how many of the things that you pick up on your travels find their way into one of your golf courses?
Pretty much everything, really. I mean, you look at our sleeper paths and rough style, half hybrid bunkers, half revetted, half rough style. I mean, I try and pick up everywhere I go. I'm always looking for little things we can improve on, and it's always the little touches that make the difference. And one of the things that blew me away at Castle Stewart is they do a lot of that stuff so well when I played up there this year. So especially you look at pathways and how you can make a pathway interesting by sleepering around it, or little sleeper steps through it, through sand areas. So yeah, I'm always trying to pick things up, and there's some courses you'll never be able to replicate, but there's certain areas that you can improve on just by not so much copying, but picking up on areas they've improved, and almost taking away some wear and tear areas just by adding things like sleeper paths in. It makes a big difference.
I really feel that Princes has got its own identity with all these things that have come together from your travels, and it's whenever you see a picture on the internet or the magazine, you can tell it's Prince's straight away. You know, especially
Yeah.
your second of the dunes, for example. My favourite probably picture on the golf course of the sleeper path meandering through the sand and the sand's blowing all over it. You know, I mean, that's for me, that's just the epitome of excellence. I absolutely love
Attention
that.
to detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Remember the beautiful load of pine trees behind that, and I remember when Sean told me that he was going to thin them out, and I was like, no, but it actually worked really well, you know, and it's a hell of a golf ball. I just wish I could play it. I always end up slapping it left onto the beautiful big fescue surround, which takes it down to the next.
It takes you away from the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time behind that. Funny enough, that hole, the trees behind that green, there was about 40 or 50 pines, and I'd stand on the tee, and Sean would be down with his chainsaw and a couple of the lads, and they'd chop a limb off, they'd chop one down, then he'd come back to the tee, and that went on for a good week or so before we were happy with it. So it's not just a case of us chopping it down, as you say. You want to make sure you can make it as good as you can. So you take your time with these things. But yeah, I remember it was during the snow break, actually, during COVID. It was blood freezing out there, but it was worth it in the end.
I think maybe we could quickly discuss one of my favourite golf competitions you have, the Saracen.
Yeah.
We could, tell us how that come about in the format. 'Cause it's quite an interesting one, and the thing that I love most about it is the playoff where you can actually feel like a European Tour pro because there's 100 people watching you know, and it's something that I've never seen at any other golf club. So
yeah, so Mr. Saracen stayed with us during the Open in '93, and he donated a trophy to the club. We can never really find anything that deserved to be played for this trophy. So I've been in the States a few times at the Quarry, which is out in Palm Springs, and they have this horse race where you'd have a certain amount of flights, and people would win their flights, and then they would go through to this playoff, and everyone would tee off together. And I thought, I'd quite like to see if we can get that up and running at Prince's. So a good friend of ours, who Pledge knows well, Dave Smith, he sort of sat on this little mini committee, and we come up with this Saracen trophy. So we have 6 flights, 4 ball matches. It's a points-based system, so 9 point for a win, half for a half, and then 1 point for winning overall. And what's great about it is you could lose your first 2 matches, but still get through if you win your other 3. It depends if you whack someone 9-1 or 8-2. Funny enough, Liam and I this year were lined 4th in our group and got through to the mini point playoff. So it's a really good format. The leaders of each group then will go through to the finals. But what we do, we have the 10 best runners up from the groups will then play mini point, which is off an AstroTurf strip in front of the spike bar over the putting green to the far green. That's probably my favourite.
Yeah, it's fun
part of the event. The game show is good fun in the evening, but that can go a little bit awry.
Well, I that was the only thing I was good at last time with my American
you
steak.
won that, didn't you? So yeah, the game show is good fun, but that's basically Ali and I picking on people who deserve to be picked on. So, but the mini point's brilliant. Everyone's on a balcony, videoing, shouting, as people are trying to pitch 90 yards. And we've seen people hit the boat, we've seen people hit the wood, we've seen shanks, we've seen. We rarely see good shots. 2 will then go through from that, and then we have 12 foursomes group tee off the first of the Himalayas, and everybody goes out and watches. We have beer buggies, and it's just great fun. We lose 4 on the first, 4 on the second, and 4 go down the last, and then the winner is the person who's standing on the last green. The last 2-3 years we've actually gone into a playoff where if the nearest shot out of the Saracen bunker wins the tournament. Pledge got through last year, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to bring that up.
But, no, let's not talk about that.
We'll gloss over that one.
I'm after a bunker lesson.
But it's a great event. It's something different, and the camaraderie as well throughout the weekend is something I always look forward to. So it's a great event. We have to get Sam down to it next year.
It's such a great event, but I mean, it goes back to this Prince's family that we were talking about as well, you know, and it's extended, and everyone that's upstairs in that clubhouse, very, very well, And I mean, there's what, 100 odd people. It's
It's 108, I think. So it's
pretty awesome.
I mean, 16 different nationalities playing this year. We had South Africans, Germans, Australians, Americans. It was great because it's a real member guest. So let's hope it goes from strength to strength.
Well, that rounds up to another thing that I'll just quickly ask you about. Going back when we were talking about the 3 clubs in Kent and the interaction between the 3, and another competition that you have is the Hagen Hoof, isn't it? So what's the story with that? Because that always sounds like a cracking day.
Yeah, the Hagen Hoof is one of those dream days of the year where we get to play all 3 courses in one day. I think Richard Craven, God bless his soul, come up with this idea, James, about 10 years ago, now 12 years ago. And we started off, actually, it was Walter Hagen teed off the first at Deal and then played round to 11, then walked to St George's, played from 6 to 13.
Put everyone in the back of the pickup and take them.
Yeah, that's it. Then all the way back round again. Yeah. So Richard came up with this crazy idea. And the clubs have jumped on board with it. But again, I think it's really helped the camaraderie between the clubs. Everyone gets on so well. We have a big dinner at Cinqueports or Royal St George's after the event. We normally host the first round. And it's just a brilliant, brilliant tournament. And it's great to play the 3 courses in one day.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how the scoring goes. St George's normally are pretty much the leading team after 2 rounds. But after lunching quite strongly, shall we say, they end up last most years. So it ends up with us and Deal fighting out for the spoils, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good. I think we Deal won it. We won it a couple of years ago, and you won it last year, I think, did you? So
yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was great. You always fall asleep in the St George's clubhouse as well because you're quite tired. It's a long day.
It's a great event, and between the 3 clubs, and it'd be, I say, at some point, it'd be nice to maybe open up and invite some of the other open courses. I think it would
definitely
go down very well.
I would say, you could sell it as a package, the Hagen Hoof experience kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in the old format where you started at Deal and literally played all the way out, so you played them randomly, was just genius. But
it's reminiscent. They do something similar at Prestwick and Troon, don't they? Right, they have you get down to the far end of Troon, and then what would that be, the 10th hole, and then you cut over and play from Prestwick to the clubhouse, have lunch in the clubhouse at Prestwick, and then play all the way back to Troon's clubhouse. And those kind of the camaraderie between the clubs, and they're great things that we can do in this country, and lucky to be able to do so. So yeah, the more of it, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's what's
I don't think there's many courses that can do that. I mean, we're obviously the 3 are very, very close. Troon, Prestwick, very, very close. But I don't think there's that many that back onto each other. But it'd be great to open up a little bit more. I know that Rob at St George's has talked about it on a number of occasions, but it's just a case of us getting it in the diary, really, and working out and closing the courses off. Because I agree with James. I preferred it whenever we played to 11 and hot-footed it across to 6, and then that jump over the barbed wire fence to St George is always a bit lively after a few whiskies.
It's a jump back, usually quite difficult.
Arquetti did his Galvin Greens one year when he slipped. It's such a great day.
Well, Rob, thanks very much for giving us your time tonight. You've been a legend as ever, and we're very grateful.
Absolutely.
No, thanks, chaps. Thoroughly enjoyed the first one. Good luck with it all.
Very kind, Rob. Thank you very much. I look forward to catching up soon.
Take care. Thank you.